Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to give you some more details on the car, all right? And the big question, why? And we're definitely going to talk about why. Why did I pick a 2019 Dodge Challenger GT of all the vehicles in the world that I could have picked? All right, so let me first bring you back to the decision of buying a new car, all right? Obviously, if you've seen my previous videos, you would have known that on Christmas Eve, my Chrysler 200 broke down. And, I could have fixed it, but ultimately Christina and I decided to move on. Just to move on, clean slate, get something else. I am not a fan of a car payment. I don't know anyone who is. However, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. All right, so now we're at the point where we're deciding we're going to buy a vehicle. Now, initially, my mind was all over the place. First I thought, all right, let me just get a beater. I don't want a car payment. I don't want the responsibility for the next, 5-6 years to be making this this car payment. I did it obviously with the Chrysler. It was a great experience overall. If you can afford it, obviously it's nice to have a newer vehicle. You have more reliability, you have more conveniences, more comfort, the whole thing. Everything's great about getting a new car or truck or SUV or whatever the case is. But obviously the biggest con is always the money. They're very expensive, and cars today, they're just as expensive as they ever were, if not more. And they pack all kinds of stuff into these vehicles, so they become even more expensive. So anyway, I'm at the point where we know we're going to buy a car. So the big question is what? What car? What car? What SUV? What truck? What do we do? So I had two trains of thought here. One is go uber cheap, okay? Get away with as cheap as possible. Go out and buy, a $3,000 beat up something and just hope it runs. Okay, now, although that was my initial option, or initial thought, I should say, ultimately, that would bring me back pretty closely to where I'm at. Anything can happen at any time. Now, that being said, anything can happen with a new vehicle at any time. The biggest difference, obviously, would be having a warranty. Okay, it gives you some peace of mind. Obviously, it doesn't cover everything. The details are very important. So then the other side of the spectrum is, all right, well, you know what? Let's just get something that's pre-owned to save money. All right, because you save a lot of money by getting some with a few miles on it, as opposed to just buying brand new. Now, I would definitely prefer buying brand new. In fact, in the beginning, I didn't even consider buying pre-owned, because my thought behind it was, well, if I'm going to spend all that money, I might as well spend a couple extra bucks and just make sure that I am the first owner, and make sure that it was not abused, it was not, driven improperly or not maintained well, all that kind of stuff. You definitely take a shot in the dark there. So I was all over the place. First, it was like, buy the biggest piece of crap I can get just because I need a running car, all the way to let's buy something brand new to make sure that it is going to be reliable. And then I kind of backed off a little bit and realized how much money I can save. Actually, it was a lot of influence from my father. He's bought a couple of vehicles pre-owned and just got great deals. It's just how it is. You throw some miles on there, you save thousands and thousands of dollars. So ultimately, that's what I decided. Okay, we're going to buy something pre-owned, but I kind of want to get something low mileage. I don't want to get something, with 100,000 miles on it, 50,000 miles on it. I like to get something less than 50. That was stuck in my brain, all right? Because less than 50 is still maybe broken in, but, a lot cheaper than new. Now, before I get into some of the vehicles that we looked at and considered and stuff, I want to mention that a big factor here, there was actually two things we were looking for, okay? One, that it was rated pretty reliable, okay? And number two, that it was going to be a better vehicle than the Chrysler 200 in the winter and the snow. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania. We have winter every single year. We have lots of snow, okay? And that was definitely a consideration. I figured, if we're going to get into a newer vehicle, let's just go the extra mile. Obviously, cars and trucks and SUVs, once you go from, front-wheel drive to all-wheel drive, they're more expensive. And then obviously go from all-wheel drive to four-wheel drive capability, they're more expensive even so. All right, but I didn't mind, putting the extra money into it, knowing that it would be a more reliable vehicle if we happen to get stuck in some kind of a snowstorm or something. In these situations, we try to avoid driving, in the winter as much as possible. But there's those situations where, maybe there's nothing going on and you're out and about and you're doing some grocery shopping and all of a sudden it starts snowing. You got to get home, you know what I mean? So you can't always avoid it. It's just one of those things. So what I really wanted is, if I'm going to have a car payment, I want to really love this vehicle. I want it to be more capable in the winter. I want it to be an upgrade to the Chrysler in every single way. Okay, that was like a big thing that we focused on. I didn't want to buy another 200. Now, I love my car. I really do. I still love my car. Unfortunately, it has just been proven to be unreliable. Okay, now it worked for 100,000 miles, but I did have some, some stops along the way. When I first got the vehicle, as I mentioned in past videos, the rotors sucked on it. The rotors didn't last very long at all, and that's just from factory. There's been a cooling system problem from the get-go. They put some kind of coagulant in the coolant, right out of the factory, and it gunked up. That's not normal. Once I got past those things, it was cool for a long time, and it worked great for a long time. And then I had my big problem with the heater core, okay, because of a bad weld from the factory. Now, that's not user error. I maintained this vehicle as best I could. I did every single thing that I was supposed to do as a car owner, and I went above and beyond. I even did extra stuff. I got, my oil changes, I got every 3,000 miles on the nose. I got my tires rotated. Every single time I got oil changes, I got spark plugs replaced. I mean, I literally to a T maintained this vehicle exactly how it's supposed to. But stuff happens. And so from the factory, the weld was bad on the heater core, and that broke, and I couldn't trust, local people to do it, so I ended up bringing it to the dealer, which was, a mistake in the end anyway. And not to say that, dealers are always the worst option. In some cases, I'd rather have a dealer do it than, just Joe's Garage. Now, where you live, Joe's Garage might be fantastic. Where I live, nothing's fantastic. I have horrible, horrible experiences, as you guys know, from all my storytime videos on getting any kind of vehicle work done anywhere. Something from an oil change all the way to an engine replacement. It's just a headache, and it's a big question mark. Is it going to get done right? I have no idea. So anyway, moving on. I love my car and everything, but a couple things along the way just bummed me out, okay? Things that had nothing to do with me. I maintained the vehicle, and things just went wrong, right? So all that being said, there were a couple different vehicles that popped up right away that we wanted to consider, okay? The first one that we really liked was the Toyota 4Runner. And I loved how it looked. I loved its four-wheel drive capability. I loved all the cargo. I loved how the seats went down the back. There was like third row seating capability, all this cool stuff. But ultimately, it was just a little bit too expensive. It was just out of our reach. Didn't want to get one with high mileage. I mean, it, again, kind of defeated the purpose of getting something that was going to be, quote unquote, more reliable. All right. Not to say you can't have one with 100,000 miles on it that runs great and there's no problems. That's cool. But what I want to buy is longevity. I want to get something with the least mileage as possible so that I can have it for the longest period of time as possible without putting as much money into it. So unfortunately, that one was scratched off the board. All right, the next vehicle that I personally wanted to look into was the Subaru WRX. I've always liked the WRX. Obviously, the STIs are the coolest ones. It wouldn't have been a horrible option, but for everything we're looking for, it wasn't maybe the best option. Also kind of expensive. Also, I actually prefer automatic. I know so many guys out there are like, dude, why didn't you get standard? You got to get standard, I don't like standard. I don't like the shift. I don't like that. I know I'm going against the grain there. Most guys like to bang gears in their car. For a daily driver, I definitely prefer automatic. If I were to get, a dream muscle car or something, or, a sports car, supercar, yeah, obviously it makes it more fun. Okay, but that's not me. So automatic was my preference. And as you guys know, a lot of WRXs do come in standard. All right, so that was an issue. So that got scratched off the list for a couple reasons, not just that, but there's a couple reasons that kind of put it aside. I'm like, we'll pass that up. Then we looked at the obvious for reliability. I'm throwing air quotes there out again because this is what everyone recommended. The Honda CR-V and the Toyota RAV4. They're both awesome vehicles, okay? Many years, many people love them. They're reliable. They're all-wheel drive. I mean, depending on which models you get, obviously, but all-wheel drive capable and, good in the winter and everything. A little bit of storage. They're kind of compact SUVs. They're not huge, obviously, but there wouldn't be any issues with that at all. Ultimately, not only did we not really find too many that were low mileage in our budget, but they're ugly. And it's no offense to people who have them, if you like them, that's all that matters, But to me, it's just like, it's just blah, It just kind of, and I know it sounds like ridiculous. Like, well, you got to go for reliability, Jeff. You can't go for something that looks cool. When I'm making car payments, I want to put a big smile on my face when I get in my car every day, or my truck or whatever it happened to be. So ultimately, I mean, I didn't like the way they looked. Christina didn't like the way they looked. An SUV would have been totally fine. Like I said, if we ended up with a Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4, I'm sure it would have been, fine. but also, you know, they're not that cheap, okay, especially again with the lower mileage. So they weren't written off completely, but they were put on the back burner. Those were still options at this point. Then we looked at all kinds of random different things. I mean, what I did was I wanted to, you know, try out Carvana as an experience. I will make a separate video about the whole Carvana experience. All right, so stay tuned for that in the future. At this point, we started looking at all kinds of random different vehicles. And what I ended up doing was I wanted to go through Carvana. So I went to the website. I used the different filters there. So I filtered, you know, all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. I filtered it from like cheapest to most expensive. And we just kind of scrolled through the pages to see what vehicles are actually all-wheel drive. And we ended up writing them all down, making a list. And then we started to look into them, look into, you know, how expensive they normally are, what's MSRP. We went to all the major, you know, auto websites and stuff, looked at write-ups, reviews, you know, researched the reliability, researched the safety, researched, you know, MPG, and just the whole gambit, right? So as we're looking at things, you know, one after another was getting knocked off the list. Now, at some point, looking through this list, right, as I'm scrolling through pages, I saw a Dodge Challenger SXT in all-wheel drive. So I brought it up, and actually I was doing this by myself while Christina was in the kitchen doing something, and I called her in and I showed her, I'm like, how about this? Because I had no idea that the Challenger, as well as the Charger, was available in all-wheel drive. So I called her in the room, she looked at it and said no, and walked away. I thought I was joking. So I called her back. I'm like, come back here, take a look at this, really look at this. And I said, this is in all-wheel drive. And she's like, well, you know, is it safe? You know, is it reliable? Is the thing going to break down? So I started researching it more, and I started finding out that the Chargers and Challengers are actually reliable cars. Now, the year makes a huge difference. Now, everyone says Toyota, Honda, they're reliable, they don't break down. It's obviously not true. They are reliable, and you can only go by, you know, the mass numbers. In general, those vehicles, those brands have less problems than other brands. Okay, those are just facts, right? But each individual car is its own thing. But when you look at certain years, there's very specific years of Honda and Toyota that just weren't great. You can avoid those just by doing your homework, right? Not a big deal. And then so we started finding out that this Challenger, specifically the 2019 Challengers, were not only rated really high in reliability, but as well as safety. All right, it is two-door, they massive doors on these things, all kinds of airbags everywhere. So it's, you know, presumably safe, it's presumably reliable. It is a very heavy car, and this is something I keep telling people in, you know, private messages, things, people sending me messages, is like, you know, why'd you get a muscle car? Well, it looks like a muscle car, and when I get it, obviously it has a lot more power than I did in my 200. My 200 had a 2.4 liter little four-banger, and that was, I think, 173 horsepower. All right, this Challenger, and by the way, my Chrysler 200 was an extremely heavy car at 3,900 pounds. You would never guess that, but it's physically large, and it was very heavy. All right, the Challenger that I have right now is only 200 pounds heavier. So it's at about 4,100 pounds, and that is because of the all-wheel drive, which weighs 200 pounds. So if you happen to get, you know, a rear-wheel drive version of one of the Challengers, you're going to be around, you know, 3,900 pounds. So this is only 200 pounds heavier, all right, than what I'm used to, but it's pushing out 305 horsepower in the 3.6 V6 that's in there. So it's significantly more powerful, okay, and it looks badass. I love my car. I think it's awesome. I was extremely attracted to it right away. I had no idea that it would even be an option. But essentially, it's less of a muscle car, really. I mean, when you go to the muscle car world, it's almost laughed at in some cases because it's like, well, you don't have a big V8 Hemi. Yeah, I mean, it's got power, but pretty much all the professionals say the same thing, is this is an amazing daily driver. And that's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a muscle car. All right, so with the all-wheel drive, with the 4,100 pounds that is sitting on the ground there, okay, this should be essentially a nice-looking SUV. It weighs a lot more than a lot of SUVs out there and still has the same all-wheel drive capability. Now, as a lot of car people know, the major point is having good tires. Okay, with the right tires, this will definitely outperform some SUVs. It will definitely outperform a lot of front-wheel drive vehicles as well. So I am very much looking into, in the future, dedicated winter tires, okay, for this vehicle we could throw on during the snow months, right? For now, I just have the stock tires, which are Michelin MXM4s, I think they're 235, 55, 19s. We'll see. I'll see how it goes. Those are all-season tires. It's supposed to be a quality tire, but we'll see how it handles in the snow. In fact, once we get a snow, I'll certainly do a video. I'll drive around in my Dodge Challenger in all-wheel drive. So, again, going back to like the initial reaction from everybody from, why'd you get a Dodge Challenger? So yeah, as we're looking at all these different vehicles and this pops up, I'm like, oh man, that'd be really cool. Like, I never even thought it was an option. I'm like, I didn't even know that these were made in all-wheel drive. It's an option in this vehicle. And then so I really started considering it. And the more we looked at it, the more we researched, it seemed like the best option. Because not only was it going to be more reliable, and we're looking for full reliability, the 3.6 engines that are in this vehicle are in a ton of vehicles. They have them in Chrysler 300s, they have them in Dodge Rams. I mean, they've proven to be reliable. Now, all that being said, this motor is not from 2019, but the 2019 Challenger is still new. Going back to my Chrysler 200, I bought that in 2013, and in 2013, guess what? They were really reliable because no one had them for 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles, So it's not to say, I mean, this was the best choice because it won't break down. It was the best choice that we wanted, and it's the best choice for our situation. Only time will tell whether it's reliable or not. But there's no way of knowing that. I went by everything I can possibly figure out, every bit of information that I can find on the internet. And all the car experts on the internet said, yes, the Dodge Challenger, the 2019 Dodge Challenger 3.6 is a reliable car. Okay, that is from car experts, not one car expert, not one website. Dozens and dozens of them say, yes, they're rated well. Now, it's not that old. Okay, it's only 2021 right now. So again, there's not a bunch of these 2019 Challengers with 250,000 miles on it. So no one really knows the longevity yet. But a big part of this, okay, was that it was low mileage. Now, how low? Well, it was below my 50,000 miles that I wanted, okay? It was actually below 40,000 and 20,000 and 10,000 and 5,000. This car has 4,000 miles on it. It was actually under 4,000 when we got it, okay? So it is practically brand new. It is still under factory warranty, which is very important as well. And we got a great price on it. Okay, so let me go back to us looking. We decided, okay, we want a Dodge Challenger. Started looking at, what are good years, what are bad years. And by the way, one of the worst years for the Challenger, okay, was the 2012. All right, in 2012, and apparently this is just Chrysler Fiat, and we'll get into that in a second, but this was, Chrysler's stretch of bad years, where a lot of their vehicles, including my Chrysler 200, which is a 2013, unfortunately had a ton of problems. All right, so from 2011 to 2014, a lot of the Fiat vehicles had issues, okay? Now, some people scrapped them, some people fixed them, but it is what it is. But since then, they've gotten their act together, apparently. Again, only time will tell, but they're much better vehicles now. But unfortunately, their name is stained. You saw the comments. You are the commenters. Chrysler sucks. Dodge sucks, Ram sucks, Fiat sucks, and that's what everyone wants to point out is, yeah, it's basically a Chrysler. Well, yeah, it's not basically a Chrysler, it's a Fiat. So if you don't know, Fiat, the Italian company, obviously runs Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, I think Maserati, as well, and Ram, which is their truck line, of course. So it's an Italian company, all right? The Dodge Challengers, my specific one, I don't know if they're all like this, but my specific one is 60% American parts, so go America, it's still American muscle, technically. 40% Mexican parts, assembled in Canada and owned by the Italians. Okay, so it's Italian, Mexican, American, Canadian. That's the heritage of the vehicle. I'm still going to say it's all American because it's 60% American parts, so I'm going to go with it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, on paper, everything looks good. Again, all the experts, they all agree in the same aspect of everything across the board, specifically the GT, and even more specifically the GT, in all-wheel drive. It's reliable, it's comfortable, it's a daily driver. People absolutely love it. But even though It's not, you know, the high performance vehicles. It's not, you know, the Scat Pack and the Hellcat, the Demon, and all these other ones everyone knows about. They look identical. There's very few changes, or excuse me, there's very few details. Now, car people know. Car people can look at a badge. They know exactly what model it is. Something like the hood style, you know, for different years, that can definitely point out what it is. Now, this GT from 2019 actually has the RT hood and has the RT front splitter. So without knowing specifically what year it is, driving down the road, it would look like an RT. Now, I have the blacktop package on here, so I don't have the GT badge, or the GT badge is blacked out inside the front grille. It's very hard to see. So coming down the road or even parked in a parking spot, you wouldn't know that it wasn't an RT. It wasn't, you know, a different model there, unless you know all these little details about stuff. On the back spoiler, on the trunk spoiler, there is a 4. It's a number 4 with the Dodge, you know, slashes on it, and that does indicate that it is the all-wheel drive. It's blacked out on a black spoiler. It's hard to see. If you saw that and you knew, you know, all the details about these cars, which, by the way, there's a ton to know. I printed these papers out. I use these keys as a visual aid here. Obviously, I prefer to show you the car while I'm talking about all this stuff, but it is freezing outside. It's in the 20s, and it is very windy, so you wouldn't be able to hear me, and I'd be shaking and shivering. You'll definitely see more videos on the actual car in the future, but this is just, you know, for my convenience, I guess. So anyway, I'm kind of going off the rails here. I'm blabbing. But I print out the breakdowns for production because they're actually lower production. All right, so for 2019, all the different Challengers, there was 81,651 made for 2019. But look at the options here. All right, the base model is the SXT. That is the most of these that were made. There was 29,870 in the US, a total of 31,064 in the world. Jumping up to the upgrade, which is what I got, the GT, all right? The regular rear-wheel drive GT, there's 41,931 in America, 5,578 in the world. The all-wheel drive, there's even less. So there's only 2,959 GTs in all-wheel drive in America, with a total of 3,520 in the world. Now the color, which everyone commented, or I shouldn't say everyone, but some people commented on, which worked out beautifully, by the way, all right? So I'll go back to that in a second. But I love the color of this car. It is called Destroyer Gray, which sounds badass, but it's just gray. And they actually discontinued it now. So you're not going to see that in the 2020s, 2021s. They went to something called Smoke Show, and that is more like a primer gray. It's a much lighter, flatter color. But I love the gray, especially the black. You know, it works very well. I love black, you guys know that. Black on black on black, that's what I did with my Chrysler 200. I would certainly have gotten it, you know, in that color. When we were looking at these Challengers, we wanted to get the right one. Now, initially, we were gonna save up. I wasn't gonna get a car for like, once we decided we wanted one, I thought, all right, well, let's save up for like 6 months or so, maybe even a year, and get a good down payment on it, so we have, you know, less payments, lower payments, things like that. We were looking on Carvana, and by the way, some people point out, well, Carvana is more expensive than dealers. It just depends. It depends on a specific vehicle. Most of the all-wheel drive Challengers that we saw in there were, of course, by the way, all-wheel drive is only available in an SXT and a GT. Okay, when you see the Hellcats and the Scat Packs and the Shakers, and they're not available in all-wheel drive. All right, and the all-wheel drive is only available in the 3.6 V6 motor. Now, if I could have got all-wheel drive with a big Hemi, yeah, I would have. I probably would have, to be honest, just because why not, right? But they don't make them for a lot of reasons. The gas mileage would be absolutely horrific. And on top of that, it's not a market. There's no market for it. The guys who want the huge motors in their, you know, Dodge Hellcats and stuff, they don't want all-wheel drive. They want to do donuts and peel out and, you know, do their thing, right? It's just not, from Dodge's perspective, or, you know, Fiat in general, they just don't see a market for it. In fact, most of the Challengers that are purchased are, as you can see from productions, the base models. Okay, so people aren't. There's way less people actually buying, you know, Hellcats and Red Eyes and things like that, right? So going back to the color here, this is actually the breakdown of the production numbers for the colors. So in Destroyer Gray, there are only 238 in America. Okay, with a total of 306 in the world. Specifically, a 2019 GT all-wheel drive in Destroyer Gray. So that's pretty cool. It's a very low production number. It means there is a very slim chance I'll ever see one again driving around in Pennsylvania here. and you know, the couple places I go in Connecticut and New York and New Jersey and things. But yeah, just to go back, if you're not familiar with the Challengers, you can see all the different models here. SXT, then the SXT in all-wheel drive, then the GT in rear-wheel drive, GT in all-wheel drive, the RT, the Shaker, TA, Scat Pack, Mopar 19, 1320, Hellcats, Hellcat wide body, Red Eye wide body. What you notice is that there's no Demon in here. I believe they stopped production in 2018. I'm not 100% of that. I'm pretty sure they're just not making it right now at all. They might have come back with it, but for whatever reason, they stopped making the Dodge Demon, which I think was the fastest production car you can get, maybe for specifically under a certain price. I think they were like $90,000. But that's what's pretty crazy too, is that the prices here, like if you want to get into a Challenger, the most basic rear-wheel drive SXT will run you on the low end about $27,000, $28,000. All right, so imagine about $28,000 to start, and they go all the way up to $90,000, depending on which model you want, depending on what size motor you want, depending on what look you want. The wide bodies are awesome. They are very cool. I would say if you're getting this as a fun car, just go with a wide body, whatever version you like, because they're just extra cool. With those fenders pushed out, they're even meaner than they look right now. But anyway, yeah, I don't even know what I covered here. I'm just talking a lot, just doing a lot of talking. I'm very excited about it. I know, again, a lot of people don't think it's practical. That's kind of my biggest point I want to make in this video, talking in more detail, is it's way more practical than you can ever imagine. What I have sitting in my driver right now is a very capable, supposedly reliable SUV with a cool body. That's all it is, okay? You know, it's a motor that's been proven over multiple generations, over dozens of different vehicles, and I'm hoping, you know, I'm knocking on wood, that it works for me. There's no guarantee it's going to work for me. And ultimately, it really doesn't matter what I picked, because no matter what it was, I could have showed you, hey, I bought a Toyota Corolla, I bought a RAV4, you know, I bought a Honda CR-V, I bought a Toyota Tacoma, which, by the way, love the Tacoma. Would have definitely got a Tacoma if it was more in my budget. But because of all the other factors, the Dodge Challenger GT in all-wheel drive was our best option, our best choice, and a car that we can actually just love. Not just like, not get in and go, okay, yeah, this is reliable. No, like, my face hurts from smiling. I can't explain to you how awesome this is. I've seen, actually, it's funny, and this is like things going full circle. When I went to get my Chrysler 200, I sat in the dealership, and in the showroom was a Challenger. And this is the first time I ever actually saw a Challenger, and I thought it was amazing. And at the time, I don't know what model it was, but the price tag on it was like $32,000, and that was out of my budget. I thought, you know, I was there to get a car that was going to be like under 23, 24, something like that. Ended up getting the 200. Which was like, you know, I think it was 20 on the nose out the door. And, but it was out of my budget. And I thought, man, it would be cool to have a car like this. And at that time, I never thought it would actually happen. You know, I've always loved them, but I never thought they were an option for me. We have snow and stuff. I don't have the money to have a fun car. I don't have a garage to keep like a cool muscle car, you know. But this is like the best of all the worlds. It looks amazing. It feels amazing. The thing is just... It's like my old Lincoln. I had a Lincoln Continental on the highway. It just floats. That's it. It just goes down the road. It's comfortable. The cruise control. I mean, it's a daily driver. But it looks like a high-performance car. It has some performance, sure. But it's on the low end of things, obviously. And like I said, I mean, the car guys, they might laugh at the V6 Challengers, you know, oh, why'd you get V6 Challenger? Well, again, because they don't offer all-wheel drive in a V8. Otherwise, I would have got a V8. I would have paid an extra couple $1,000s for that. But again, ultimately, we got what's supposed to be reliable, what's supposed to be very safe, what's supposed to be good in the winter, good in the snow, and we got it with 4,000 miles on it, so it's brand new. I have factory warranties. I paid for gap insurance just in case, you know, and we're all set. We're ready to go. So I have my car, and we're going to see. We're going to see what's going to happen. And like I said, I mean, I want to kind of talk about the comments a little bit, because the comments are exactly what I thought they would be. Like, I could have put $1 million as a bet on what the comments would have been. And these were the comments. Some of them were awesome, good for you, cool car, love it. I knew that was, people were going to say that. And some of them were, oh my God, what are you doing? Have you not learned from your mistakes? I knew people were going to say that. And then it was the, I'm shocked, I never would have guessed this. I knew people were going to say that. And then there were a couple people who thought it was a joke. it's not a joke. I very much own a 2019 Dodge Challenger GT. And I'm going to be reminded of that when I make my car payment every month. But I'm fine with that. I absolutely love it. Again, I mean, this was what fits us. It's what fits us very, very well. But what I wanted to kind of comment on is that, you know, when I made the video, I knew that there'd be negative comments. I knew people would think, ah, you're dumb. Why'd you buy another Chrysler? That's what they say. Why'd you get another Chrysler? Why do you not learn from your mistakes? And all this negativity. And my initial reaction to that would be to be defensive. Like, you know, no, it's not, you know, it's not going to break down. It's not, you know, and who knows? Maybe it will break down. I have no idea. I hope it doesn't. But what I have to kind of step back and realize is that there's a very small portion of those negative comments that are just jerk-offs. Okay, and they're miserable people, and they don't, it doesn't matter what I do, they want me to fail, they want me to, you know, just have bad experiences so they can feel better about themselves, I suppose. But really stopping and really, you know, thinking about it in a mature fashion, I have to realize, and I do realize, that a lot of the negative comments, most of the negative comments, are coming from a good place. There are people who are upset and disappointed that they think that I made the wrong decision, not because they're jerks, but because they want the best for me. I really realize that, you know, it's like, oh, why'd you do that? You're such an idiot. But it's almost like, you know, a father or a brother or a neighbor saying it to you because they want you to succeed. They want to see you do well. They want you to not struggle. They don't want to see, you know, videos of car problems and stuff. So honestly, thank you. Thank you for all the congratulations. Thank you for the positive comments, but thank you for a lot of the negative comments too, because I do realize they're coming from a good place like that. You really do mean well by that, okay? Because you do want me to succeed. So thanks, I appreciate that. It's just, you know, and it's not just the car video. It could be anything. It could be a negative comment on a knife video or something. They're usually coming from an okay place. They mean well. It's just sometimes reading a text, a comment, you're not getting the same, you know, thing as if you're talking to someone in person. You're getting it out of context. All right. So I have to remember that sometimes because, like I said, I naturally would get defensive, you know. But as I already mentioned, it doesn't matter what I showed you guys. If I got a Honda CRV, a lot of comments would have been, oh, awesome, you're gonna love it, it's reliable and everything. But guess what? If I bought a Honda CRV, okay, or let's say a Toyota RAV4, okay, Toyota, they don't break down. It's the most reliable car brand in the world. Definitely should have got something from Japan. That's some comments I saw. So let's say I get the Toyota RAV4 and I make my video and everyone's all happy that I bought a reliable car and then it breaks down. What are the comments going to say? Do you know what I'm saying? Are the donations going to roll in to fix my car? No. I mean, if there are people out there who are really, really disappointed and you really want to see me with a Toyota, I'll certainly start a GoFundMe. You could buy me a Toyota and we'll see what lasts longer. I'll have Christina drive it. But I don't think anyone cares that much. And that's really at the end of the day what it comes down to. Is when someone has that negative comment on there and they're like really mad or whatever, it's like in the moment. They move on with their day. They're not, you know, laying in bed at night thinking, oh, God, Jeff, why'd you do it? You know? So I have to keep things in perspective sometimes, you know? But anyway, that is it. You will definitely see some more videos on the car. I'll show it in more detail. I'll talk about it a little bit. I'll, you know, explain my experiences as I drive it more and things. I'm definitely going to do a video driving it in the snow. All right, I'm very excited to see what it's like in the snow. And it's an upgrade in every single way. It's way more power, it's way more comfort. And by the way, people are worried about cargo. They're like, where are you gonna put all your stuff? Well, I put all my stuff in my Chrysler 200. This Challenger is 4 inches longer, I think 6 inches wider, has a massive trunk. It's a much bigger trunk. The back seat obviously has less space, but there is more than enough room for my gear and stuff. And that's for a separate video because I want to downgrade the gear that I carry in my car. I've always carried overkill. I've, you know, 6 ways to make fire in your trunk. Why? You don't need that. It's not necessary. I've carried all kinds of, you know, wilderness survival stuff in my bob bags that does not belong in a car. I've always done it because I've been into gear. You know, it's like, oh, it's nice to have, but there's things I've had in my bob bag in my my Chrysler 200 for 7 years now that I've never touched. All right, so I really have to reassess what's important because all the extra weight will just kill, you know, more gas mileage. And by the way, this car, even though it's bigger and heavier and has all-wheel drive, it should have better gas mileage than my Chrysler 200. Now, this is a variable all-wheel drive system. I'll maybe talk about it more in detail in the future if you're not familiar with it, but the car is actually going to be in rear-wheel drive when the conditions are right. Okay, on a warm summer day, when I'm driving, it will be rear-wheel drive. Okay, I can forcefully put on the all-wheel drive if certain conditions are met, like if it's like right now, it's going to be an all-wheel drive because it's below 40 degrees. Okay, if you throw your wipers on, obviously it's going to be raining, or there's some kind of condition where all-wheel drive will kick in. Even driving in rear-wheel drive, if the tires get loose and start slipping, they'll automatically throw power to the front. All right, so it is a unique system in that sense. It's not all-wheel drive all the time, okay? In the summer months and the warmer months, it'll definitely be better, even more, on gas than it will be during the winter. But, you know, time will tell as far as gas mileage. What you see on paper is not always what you actually get in real life, you know, world situations. When you see, like, when you're at the dealer and you're looking at stickers and stuff, you know, the MPG that they're telling you was done in a laboratory, okay, on perfectly flat area in a machine, you know, with the perfect temperature and just absolutely perfect conditions. You almost never get what the sticker shows. But on my Chrysler 200, I average between like 19 and 21 miles per gallon, which is horrible for a little, you know, sedan like that. I know obviously a lot of Toyotas and other vehicles, you know, get in the 30s. It's crazy. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything that needs to be covered in the video. Thank you so much for the supportive comments. And again, for most of the negative comments, thank you as well. The car is pretty advanced, and it's not just specifically this car. I think it's just, you know, a 2019 car. I've upgraded, so there's newer features that I'm not used to. This one has a cold weather group and a blacktop package. Okay, so some things are blacked out, which is cool. It looks very nice in combination of stuff, but that's all aesthetic. What's nice about the cold weather group is the remote start. All right, so remote start is amazing. I've never had a car with remote start. This one has the heated seats, which is also amazing. It has a heated steering wheel, and it has heated side mirrors. And those are all nice little bonuses. What's kind of cool too is the alternator is upgraded as well. It's the same alternator they would have on some of the 5.7s and 6.4s because it's part of the cold weather package. Okay, so it has a little bit more juice. You know, if it's real cold outside, should be a little bit better charging the battery and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think I covered it all. So that's it for now anyway, because I'm sure this is already a long video. I'm extremely excited about the car. We'll see what happens. That's all I could say. There's no guarantee it's not going to have problems in the future. Hopefully, if and when it does have problems, it's covered under the warranty. When the warranty is up, I will extend the warranty until at least I pay off the car. Now, as far as price, because I know some people are going to be curious about this, through Carvana, I paid $28,990 for this vehicle as it sits. The sticker price was about $37,000, so I saved quite a bit of money getting it through Carvana with 4,000 miles on it. That was an exception, and this is the only reason that it's sitting in the driveway right now, because like I said before, I wanted to save up for it and put a down payment on it. But what we're seeing on average is at least the all-wheel drive Challengers, which there weren't many, by the way. There's a ton of Challengers on there from various years and such, but the all-wheel drive, there's, as you saw, much less production numbers, okay? So at any given time, there was like 6 or 7 of them. And they very consistently average between like $25,000 and $27,000 with anywhere from like 30 to 60,000 miles, okay? So that's the price range. Now, when this one popped on there, we jumped on it because 4,000 miles, again, it's practically brand new, all right? And the extra, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 on the price made sense. So I'm much happier paying, you know, $3,000 more for a car with 4,000 miles on it than, you know, saving $3,000 and having a car that already has 40,000 on it, you know? So that was our decision, you know, specifically. But like I said, if you were looking for this specific model, again, specifically through Carvana, those are the prices that I see. And they're anywhere from like 2016s to 2019s. And obviously with all the different, you know, options and trim levels and packages and additions and all that kind of stuff, there's just so many different versions of this car. It's amazing. It really is amazing. But I'm bringing up the numbers because some people have commented that Carvana is more expensive than other places. Clearly, you want to get the best deal you possibly can, but at the time buying this car, I could not find a GT in all-wheel drive with 4,000 miles anywhere near that price. Through Car Gurus, they were all over 30, and with the higher mileage, they're obviously cheaper, but that's all relevant. We were very happy on the price, how much we saved, you know, as opposed to buying it new. And buying it new wasn't an option. You know, going to a dealer and just picking out, you know, a Challenger GT brand new with these options, I would never want to finance that much, at least with what I make right now. That's too much of a stretch, you know. But by buying it used, it became a reality, you know. So it's just, you know, it's something to consider. There's a lot of different ways to look at vehicles. I mean, some people really care about this stuff. Some people don't. Some people just, you go to a dealer, you buy a car. And I've talked to people like that too, where you basically, you pick a brand, you go to a dealer for that brand, and you pick a model, and then they have like 6 on the lot, and you pick between the 6. So you're really limited in what you're getting, and oftentimes you settle. Okay, I want these features, but I don't really want that color, but that's what they have at the dealer. No, I mean, if you are going to buy from a car dealer, and I've learned this through other people's videos, and if I ever went to a dealer, this is what I would do. You go to a dealer, you already have in mind what model, you do all your research at home, right? Once you figure out exactly what model of vehicle you want, you go to a dealer, you get an idea what they're going to charge for it, then you leave. You don't buy the car, you leave. Then you go to another dealer, or at least you call 3 or 4 different dealers and you say, hey, this dealer is going to give me this price on this vehicle. What can you do? You make them work for their money. You get the best price possible. You price shop, you know. But I think it's very, very common for people to just like, oh, we need a new car. What do you want? You want a Subaru? Okay, go to a Subaru dealer. Oh, what do you want? Oh, I want, you know, that version or whatever. And okay, that's the color I guess I get. Now, as far as features and stuff, this one happened to just really work out. It was perfect. And that's, again, why we jumped on it. It had everything I wanted. It was an awesome color. I was very open to colors, you know, but there were certain ones I liked more than others. But the Destroyer Gray is just amazing. It just really, really is awesome, especially in person. But it had all the things that I wanted in there except the leather seats. I would have preferred leather seats, but hey, you know, it wasn't a deal breaker, obviously. The cloth seats do seem like better quality than what's in my Chrysler, which is nice. And it's funny because if you saw pictures, or I don't know exactly what I showed in the video, but the center panels in the seats are a houndstooth pattern. So it reminds me of Ricky from Trailer Park Boys, which is hilarious because he always has that shirt with that houndstooth pattern. So I got a little Trailer Park Boys in my my Challenger. But anyway, that is pretty much it. I know this is already a long video. If you have questions and things and comment, obviously you got a comment either way. But if you have questions and stuff, maybe we'll bring it up in future videos. But I would say once the full Carvana experience is over, I will definitely do a video explaining my entire experience from beginning to end, as well as a video driving in the snow when we do get snow, and that is available for me to do. And besides that, once we finally get nice weather, of course, I'll go over you know, more details and show the car a little bit more in detail and stuff, the trunk and all that. What I initially did for the car was buy some WeatherTech Mats. I really like them in my Chrysler, especially in the winter. It's just nice because all the dirt and the salt and stuff and the snow and all that, as it melts, it doesn't just sit in the carpet. Okay, having the plastic, you know, floor mats that have the actual shelves on the side, it's awesome. It's really, I think it's a must if you live in snow and wintry areas. You should definitely do that with all your vehicles, okay, to preserve the actual carpet and floorboard and stuff. So that's the very first thing we did before we even got the car delivered. We ordered those. I did get some, you know, because people are asking about modifications in the future. The only thing I bought right now was some a vinyl kit for the side markers, just to darken the side markers a little bit. I do plan on doing a little exhaust work in the future. Nothing crazy. I want to hear a little grumble. You know, it is an awesome looking car. It should sound a little bit closer to what it looks like. It is dead quiet, which is fantastic if you commute, but I don't commute, and I want to hear the car a little bit. So I'm thinking a very simple muffler swap. I'll take the mufflers out in the back. I've been looking at all different setups since I knew I was going to get the car. I like the Magna packs. You know, I just don't know if I want to put them in the very rear or put them, you know, in where the mid muffler is or the resonators. Not really sure yet on that, the details, but I'm not going to do crazy exhaust systems or anything. It's literally going to be swapping out stock mufflers for something else, just to give it a little something. You got to be able to hear it a little, right? Just makes it that much more fun. But I'm not doing any major modifications. You know, I'm just keeping it stock, just making sure it works. You know, I don't want to screw with it. It's built how it's built for a reason, and I'll pretty much leave it that way. But there's a ton of stuff you could do with these vehicles as far as looks and things. So we'll see. We'll see about the future. So anyway, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the comments, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.